What's going on, guys? So let's talk about an exciting reveal. This is the all-new 2023 Ford Super Duty. Now, of course, I had to gravitate towards the F450 display because this is really the truck that impresses me the most, because it just combines every attribute that I love about these Super Duty trucks into one complete package. And you're going to be blown away at the sheer innovation and technology that they've integrated into these trucks. You know, when I bought my 2017 F450, it was leaps and bounds ahead in terms of technology and innovation versus the 2016 F450 that it replaced. And what was kind of the general theme throughout this entire visit here with Ford is that the new F450, and not just F450, but the new Super Duty in general, has continued that trend. You know, when I bought my truck, I didn't think it could really get much better. I really didn't think there was that far you could go. Of course, you could put bigger screens in, you could do things like that. But in terms of innovating the truck itself, you know, I really didn't know what you could do, because the truck is such a great truck in terms of, you know, ergonomics and comfort features and technology, as well as towing features, all of that stuff. But they've done it again. They really have. This truck is such an evolutionary upgrade to the truck that I have that I can't wait to show you more about it. So yeah, this is going to be a fun video. Now, first of all, let's talk about some of the exterior changes. And, you know, some of them are kind of subtle. You know, you have to look a little close to see some of them. But I'm sure those of you who are current Super Duty owners, or those who have just been kind of inspired by the brand, can notice some of them right away. Now, again, this is an F450, and many of the changes that you see on the other trucks are going to be similar in terms of their respected, you know, current model. But this F450 has the same wide track front axle. You can see it has the same 19.5-inch aluminum wheels on it, the commercial wheels and tires. They're still wrapped with Continental tires as well. But let's start looking at some of the subtle differences, and some that are not so subtle. If we start from the front of the truck, you'll notice that Ford brought back the C-clamp style LED accents that wrap around the headlights. They're a bit more aerodynamic than what's on my truck, but there's certainly a bit of a departure from kind of that E-clamp design that they had with the 2020, 21, and 22 model truck. And you can also see that the headlights are significantly different, as well as the grille. So the grille has gone to a much more breathable style grille, especially on these F450 trucks. You can see it's a very, very meshed open style grille, which allows a lot of air to come into that engine. Also, you can see how the headlights themselves kind of have that interlock design where they're surrounded by trim, as opposed to just this fully exposed front headlight assembly. And part of the mentality behind that by Ford was to give you that protection feel that, you know, you want to know that your headlight is surrounded and it's protected from things that might smack up against it. You have a smaller and more of an integrated looking fog light down there at the bottom. And now you can see something that the F450 and really all the Super Duties have never had, and that is front parking sensors. So front parking sensors has been a feature that you have not been able to get on Super Duty, so that is really cool that they've now added that. Coming down the side, you can see this really, really cool little vent right here. This allows hot air from the engine to escape, but they've extended it down further now, so it takes up a much larger section of this front quarter panel, and it integrates in very well. Again, you have the same 19.5-inch aluminum wheels. Here's a big one that I'm sure all of you will notice right off the bat. You now have a bedside step to help access the toolbox if you put one in the bed, or to simply gain access to the bed of your truck. This is going to be a really, really great addition, especially to those of you who tow gooseneck trailers or have to get in the bed of your truck to hook up chains. Back dually fender doesn't look like it's changed much, but one thing I want you to notice, and this has changed, so the whole body line coming down the side here is now taller and it's deeper. It gives you a much more, a much more trimmed off look to the truck. And you can see it makes kind of a swooping effect down here towards the front as well. So there are some differences there. Coming around to the back of the truck, all new tailgate, all new tail light design as well. And there's a lot of technology that can be built into these trucks. One of them is one that you really can't tell just by looking at it until I tell you what it is. Well, let's go over the obvious stuff first. So you have the side bumper steps now, so you can actually access the tailgate or the back of the truck via the step right here. You also have a very, very cool technology feature that you can get equipped on Super Duty, and that is the tongue weight or the bed scale. So now you have the ability to actually see how much weight is in the bed of your truck. Not only will the display show on the screen of the truck and on the smartphone app, but you see this little LED strip right here? That will also light up and indicate how close you are to max capacity whenever you're loading payload into this truck. That is very, very cool. Another feature that is absolutely amazing is the fact that they've now put parking sensors actually on the top of the tailgate. So whenever you have the tailgate down, you actually have the ability to know how close or far you are from objects. Another challenge that people had with Super Duty, or with really any truck, with the camera on the tailgate is when the tailgate is down, the camera's looking straight at the ground, which gives you an unfunctional camera because you just don't really have a visible view of something that's practical. They've changed that. Well, they haven't really changed it, but they've added to it. So we all know we're in the generation of super camera equipped trucks. They've now put a camera on top of the tailgate right there, which gives you the ability, once the tailgate is down, to actually have a view off the back of your tailgate towards what you're backing up to. So the days of people backing into their gooseneck trailers or their fifth wheels with their tailgate should be pretty much eliminated now that you have both parking sensors as well as a camera on the top of your tailgate lid, again, which means when it's in the down position, you'll be able to see what's behind your truck and how far away you are from it. Of course, you still have the parking sensors there integrated into the bumper. And because I know everybody wants to know what's going on under here, the axle actually looks a bit different, especially that finned diff cover. I'm gonna have to find out a little bit more information on what's going on with that. But yeah, this is the rear axle of an F450. I'm guessing it's probably gonna be similar to a 350, but one thing I want you to look at here is the brakes. One of the reasons people ask why an F450 has 19.5-inch commercial wheels on it is look how close that huge brake rotor caliper is to the interior of that wheel. The ability to have these massive brakes required the engineers to put on a larger wheel to fit around it. From a leaf spring perspective, it's the same or very similar leaf spring setup as the current F450. But yeah, the back of the differential and axle certainly has some different characteristics to it. We'll find out more about that as well. This specific King Ranch model is equipped with all LED lighting, but you can still get halogen lighting as an option on some of your lower equipped trucks, and that's mainly for cost savings for fleets and folks who, subject their trucks to a lot of commercial use and they damage their headlights and they don't want a $1,500 headlight as a replacement. So another piece of technology I want to talk about is one that has certainly added to the capability of the truck, and that is the addition of cameras that not only allow you to see around the truck, because a 360-degree camera system isn't really anything that's entirely new for a truck like this, but what is new now is the fact that you can install cameras on your trailer. So we have this really awesome Alliance Valor toy hauler hooked up, and you can see a camera installed on the side right there, which is going to give you the ability to actually connect to the infotainment system in your truck and have a 360-degree view of not only what's going on around your truck, but also the trailer that you're hauling with it. That is pretty awesome. And here's a little additional nugget that a lot of you may not have expected. So I showed you the corner step here on the bumper, but look above it right here. they've actually integrated a little handle right here that you can use to actually mount the back of your bumper or get into the bed of your truck. So that is really cool. Again, little thoughtful things that you didn't know you needed until they added it to a truck, and then you're like, you know what, well, if I need to use that, I also need a way to easily grab and get into the truck. So that is very awesome. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the exterior of the truck. There are a few other little subtleties, but we're gonna go ahead and work our way into the truck so you can see what's all new about this 2023 Super Duty. So we'll start with the door. And you can see they have nicely labeled the King Ranch branding right there. Much of this section right here is very similar to the outgoing model, but a couple subtle changes, which definitely makes it look a bit more modern. Little American flag right here, but I believe that's a carryover from the current model. The controls down here for your high center mount light in the bed, your headlights, all of this has been changed. A lot more, I guess, a lot more ergonomic, a lot more flush, and the fit and finish here just looks a lot nicer than the outgoing model. You can still adjust your pedal height. You have all of your seat controls right here. The seats look entirely different. So now they give you a pretty crazy adjustable seat system, something you might expect to see in a Lincoln. I mean, it's really awesome. So you have the back platform area right there, and then you have the front cushion area right there, which gives you all of your adjustability. But take a look at this leather. That is absolutely beautiful. Very, very nice. Up top, you can also see some of your speakers. I'm sure some of these are tied into your Bluetooth, as well as a form of noise cancellation. Let's go ahead and hop in this truck real quick. Okay, so now that we're inside of this truck, a couple things that really stand out are the use of a 12-inch kind of gauge cluster area here. Very, very cool, all LED. And then you also have a 12-inch infotainment system right here in the center, which is going to help you see your camera angles and all of your navigation information, radio stuff. Very, very nice and clear. Down below, you have your physical air conditioning buttons, which I absolutely love. And all of this has been redesigned. So this is an entirely new dash. Everything's been changed. So you have a couple things that I can't show you on this truck, but I'll talk about. So built into the infotainment system, you now have the ability for integrated upfitting, which means a lot of aftermarket upfitters create products such as cranes and PTO-driven functions and other things like that, which you can now turn on and off and control from the touch screen of the actual infotainment system, which is super cool. And there are a ton of different upfitters that they've integrated into this system. So they basically plug in and they can actually garner control over certain functions of the vehicle. So for instance, let's say you have this in a chassis cab and you have a bucket on the back of it. And when that bucket is being operated, you want the parking brake to be enabled on the truck. Because if somebody forgets to do that and the truck starts to roll away or there's some type of an issue, then you could, injure people or cause damage. Whereas they can actually now give upfitters the ability to tie into the computer system so the vehicle can automatically go into park whenever you are operating a bucket. And up top, check this out. You still get your upfitter switches. So some folks would be like, you know what, I don't want the soft touch buttons, I don't need them, I'm not gonna have a practical use, I'm not a commercial operator, I don't need to have all of that. And they've basically said, okay, well, we're still gonna give you your relayed 6 upfitter switches up top to control aftermarket things, such as a light bar, maybe you wanna control a winch, you wanna control a generator or a air compressor, something like that. So that is very cool as well. Of course, you have your trailer brake controller still here in the center. Steering wheel is definitely different. It's a lot different, a lot more buttons, a lot more controls. This truck has a lot of safety features that, in some ways were available, but not really. So this is going to have the full stop and go collision prevention, both in forward, and it's also going to give you the ability for the truck to auto stop in reverse. I'm going to have to ask the engineers if that system is disabled when the tailgate's down or when you're backing up to a trailer, because we all know that could be a very interesting story if it isn't disabled and it stops you from backing up and hitching up. They've changed a lot of the ergonomics in this truck. So they've raised up this area so you can actually prop your phone here, you can prop your phone here, and you have the ability to charge your phone with the smart charger. The whole dash, the entire design is completely different. Overall though, they've just done a fantastic job in here. And these seats are super awesome because they can recline into an almost fully rested bed-like position, because they realize a lot of folks that drive these trucks might be hotshot drivers and might be commercial drivers or just folks who use their truck as their office and might need to take a quick nap. So the seats actually will go almost completely flat to the point to where you're laying down like you're in a bed. Looking at the back seat of this truck, there aren't a tremendous number of changes except for the leather, the seat design, all of that. You still get the panoramic sunroof as an option up top, and that is largely unchanged. On the floor, it's still completely flat, and under the seat, you still get the same type of storage right here that you can lock from the other side if you don't want the seats to raise or lower. So not a lot going on in the back that's entirely different, but the back didn't really have a lot of things that needed to be different. They did a great job with it overall. The only thing I would have liked is maybe the ability to slide the bottom cushion forward so the back can recline slightly, but I was informed yesterday that the back seat angle is actually slightly angled a bit more to give riders in the back a bit more comfort than the past, because I know in my truck the angle is pretty tall, so if you sit in the back for too long, you're probably going to be complaining. And I believe in 21 they angled it slightly, and they angled a little bit more for 23, so that is really nice. Okay, so a couple features additionally on the exterior that you really can't see, but they're really tied into the interior technology, is the fact that you now have the ability through an optional package to have a kind of a smart connection system to where the truck will actually back up under a coupler if you're going to be connecting to a trailer. And again, I don't know how the system works, but they did talk about it, and they did mention it as a feature that will be available on the new 2023 Super Duty. And a feature that a lot of folks have been asking about, especially considering the F-150 kind of debuted it, is will the back of this truck have that onboard power generation? And it will. So you have a 2,000 watt back power connection, so you can connect this to all sorts of different tools and things that you might need to power from the bed of your truck. So what do you guys think? You know, it is certainly a heck of an evolution from the current truck, especially from my truck. They've slowly added some technology to the 2021, 2022 model, but the 2023 is really all new. They've elevated it to an entirely different level. Even though the exterior of the truck doesn't look like it's a huge departure, it's certainly a major departure because almost every body panel on this truck has changed. There's not really any shared body panel. There might be some shared components, maybe the little fender up front that extends out for the F450, maybe certain little areas might be carryovers, but for the most part, every panel is pretty much different on this truck. And they've really integrated in a lot of technology and things I think people were wanting for the 2023 model without departing from the trend that the Super Duty has created since 2017. But it is super cool. I think this truck is absolutely beautiful, and the upgrades and the additions that they've added are truly the types of additions that consumers were asking about. The things that consumers need, especially if you're going to be using your truck to haul an RV or a large trailer. Having the parking sensors on the top of the tailgate, so when the tailgate's down, having the camera there, having the ability for it to auto hitch, having all these features are certainly going to help a lot of folks who are looking to spend the type of money that you would need to spend to get into one of these trucks. So very cool. They haven't released any pricing on it, and they haven't released any of the horsepower or torque specs on it. You can get it with a 6.8 liter gas V8, the 7.3 liter gas V8, as well as the 6.7 liter. And this is going to surprise people the most. There are 4 engine options available for this truck now. You can get a 6.8 liter gas V8, a 7.3 liter gas V8, or the 6.7 liter Power Stroke V8 diesel. But here's the big one. There's now going to be a new optional 6.7 liter high output Power Stroke diesel engine available. So I haven't gotten any of the horsepower torque specs on it yet, but it's going to be really, really interesting to see what the differences are in terms of power. All of them will be mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission. So now you're going to have 10 speeds across the entire product line for Super Duty. So what do you guys think? I really would love to hear your comments and your opinions in the comments section of this video, because I know it's going to garner a lot of opinions. And there's a lot of folks who were critical about the 2017 Super Duty when it first came out, especially considering, you know, how much of the exterior is aluminum. And I believe most of those concerns have been squashed. There really hasn't been any high number of issues. There hasn't been any major mechanical issues. For the most part, I believe folks who buy Super Duties are incredibly happy with them. We'll actually look later in another video at a chart showing you industry-wise how much industry actually leans on the Super Duty as the primary vehicle in their fleet. But yeah, it's a pretty awesome vehicle, and I know everyone's going to want to know the numbers on this really cool Alliance Valor toy hauler they have hooked up to it. It's going to have a gross vehicle weight rating of 16,950 pounds. It's going to have a cargo capacity of 2,934 pounds, and it's going to ride on twin 7,000-pound axles. Anyways, I sure hope you enjoyed this video. I'd love to know what you think about this beautiful new truck. If there's anything you think I've missed, please let me know. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.